I got Entrepreneur of the Year award for FIT, and Dapper Dan presented my award. And he sent me this note. In his speech, he said, "You're our Harriet Tubman. Your fashion's Martin Luther King." You're like all of these like things that, in all honesty, made me feel very uncomfortable while he was up there talking. But then he sent me flowers, and the flowers said the same thing. And I was like, that's a lot of pressure. Because it's easier to pretend like we're less than who we know God has really made us to be. Oh, right? It's so much easier. And then when great things happen to us, we're just like, oh, I can't believe this happened. When in truth, when you know that you've been made to be great and that's your real truth.
You are ordained.
It's not a cocky thing or a prideful thing. It's just, this is who I am. The truth is that I'm great. Not because anything that I've done myself, but because this is who God has made me to be.
Welcome to Since 3000. I'm Danielle Leslie, and we are here to dive into our past, present, and future selves. And I have the perfect person here today for us to do that. One of my favorite people on the planet, Brandice Daniel. I'm so excited for you all to get to know her like I have gotten to know her. We do monthly dream sessions where we talk about our future and what we're working on. But what you will know about Brandice soon is she is the founder of Harlem Fashion Row. She's really created a new lane to put Black designers on the map. She's been in rooms and done partnerships with some of the biggest household names, including Nike, Janie and Jack, LeBron James. She's been on the Drew Barrymore show. There are honestly too many to name, y'all. She's been doing Harlem Fashion Row for 15 years. And today we're gonna talk about the evolution of her brand, what's next, and I can't wait for you to be a part of the conversation. So Brandice, thank you for being on.
I'm excited to be on. Yeah. I'm so excited.
Aww. Yeah. Cheers. I'm so excited to bring you today's episode, but before we do, I need to make sure you've heard about Member Up. So community-driven products are the future, but Facebook groups are a thing of the past. And after 10 plus years in the online education space, I've taken all my learnings and I've built this incredible platform, Member Up. It's a customizable, easy to use, all-in-one platform where you can build a premium course, community, or membership site without the tech headache. Gone are the days of having to duct tape together your content, your community, your payments, all on different platforms. I want you to do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and head over right now to memberup.com/Danielle. And you can get started for free today. I promise you, I can't wait for you to see this platform. It's beautiful. Okay, the design is amazing. Your community is going to feel at home here, and you are going to take pride in your online business. It is the place to start. Head over to memberup.com/Danielle. Now let's get into the episode. They're in different industries, your mentees. What do you think attracted them to you? I assumed you would say they're all in fashion.
No, I just asked them. What I normally do is, so let me start here. Somebody did it for me.
Ooh, who did it for you?
This woman, Lavelle Alexa. So Lavelle Alexa would have these like salons at her home. She lived right off of Fifth Avenue, right by the Met.
Oh, wow.
And she had a beautiful apartment, and she would invite women from these different industries to come to her home like once a quarter. And then at those events, she would have someone there who would be speaking to us. And they would be like, you know, a huge politician or a classical pianist who's traveled the world, or, you know, it was like all these different, and so I said, I want to do that. And so I just started identifying young women who I thought had lots of potential.
No way. Where did you meet her?
I met her through Lorene Arbus. Lorene Arbus is her father or grandfather founded ABC. And so I met her at this gala.
You met her at a gala.
I met her at a gala.
How were you at a gala? Have I
I
even been to a gala? I'm a grown ass woman.
I was at a gala
because
someone wanted to hold like a fashion component to a gala, and they reached out to me. And so I go to this gala, I meet Lorene Arbus, who I actually need to reach out to her to say hello.
Yes.
But, and then she says to me, you need to meet Lavelle Alexa. And these are all, you know,
how old are you
established
at this
white
time?
women.
Wow. How old are you at this time?
At that time, I was probably 33, 34.
Wow. They saw something in you. She saw something in you where she's like, you need to meet her.
I've always had women like that in my life. No.
You've attracted them. You called them in. What do you think it is about you that they're like, I want you to meet X. I want to keep you in my life and expand.
I decided a while ago that I would just show up as myself. And I try to lead with kindness in everything I do. So I believe that those two things, and then people kind of see what I'm doing and it's interesting to them. But I'm also very open. Like, I'm so open to new relationships and new friendships. And I also think people can feel that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I've had the Lavelle Alexa, who say Brandice, come and meet all of these women and had me at her home. I've also had another woman, Lori Feldman, who's also not my race, who says, hey, Brandice, I've put together we've got this group of CMOs around the industry and from all these different huge brands that we all know and love.
Fortune 100.
And she just invites me to one of their homes and I get there and it's all about, what do you need?
Wow.
Hey, we invited you here because we love what you're doing and we want to know what you need, right? And so, you know, she's the one who suggested that I speak at the Forbes CMO Summit. I got that because Lori was like rooting for me to get it and called the person at Forbes to say she needs to speak at the CMO Summit.
Wow.
I got Forbes 30 under 30 through her. So I've had lots of just incredible, I call them my angels, who have decided to pour into me in ways that are very unexpected.
Yeah. I love that. What I think what I'm hearing from you and also what I've seen is it's a combination of, first, you are doing your thing. You are in your lane, owning it, making it happen, large enough for others to see. Then once you're in the space, you're invited to the space because they see you in motion. Then when you're in the space, you're open. And I know that sometimes we can be in a space and feel like we don't belong in a space. And what that results in is maybe a wall up, insecurity. Yeah. We want more than anything to feel a part of this person, their world, to be invited to things, but then we end up creating the opposite result because we got the wall up, we're insecure. But for you, you're in the space, you're open, you're like, this is who I am. As you say, you lead with this purpose of, I'm gonna be myself. And then the final thing I heard is you welcome the invitation. When they invite you to speak at the summit, you don't say, you're like, yes, I will. So I heard all three of those things, which is inspiring for me, to be honest, because like one point of reflection I had this year, actually, I looked back and I realized there were people who were vouching for me, who were opening me up to opportunities, and I was showing up low vibration, and I was actually blocking my blessings because I thought I didn't deserve it, and I didn't even realize it, right? It took like a whole year. I look back, I was like, dang, girl, you were out here blocking. You had this. And I thought about how sometimes we can say at a macro level that certain people in society aren't looking out for us, aren't giving us opportunities. And I had to take personal ownership and say, actually, there have been amazing men who have vouched for me and invited me, and I thought I wasn't worthy. Right. And I said no.
Right.
Who am I to say they're not looking out for me when I have actually said no? And my lower self, my subconscious, my sixth grade self, whatever version of me, came and drove the bus that day and said, we're not worthy, we're saying no. And I had to get real with myself about that and say, you need to own up to that, because they were actually welcoming you and inviting you. So I love that you shared how you show up as yourself. You're like, this is me. I'm meeting you where I am. This is where I am. And then once you got the invitation, you're like, let's go. Like, I'm going to speak at the summit. Let's go see my summit.
It doesn't mean that I approached it without fear, because I did. And if I could be really honest, I didn't really feel like I belonged in that room. I kept questioning. I'm committed to saying yes.
Ooh.
I'm not committed to feeling like I should say yes. Do you know what I mean?
I'm committed to saying
but I'm
yes.
committed to saying yes.
Not that I should say yes.
Maybe I should or maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. But I'm going to go in the room and I'm going to meet the people and I'm going to prepare for the opportunity and I'm going to do it. Like no matter how afraid I am. And then we'll see what happens from there.
What I'm hearing in that is the cliff jump.
Yes.
Which you have a course on this.
I do.
When I look at what you've done, the brands you've worked with, the people. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna need help for this brag sheet. But we have Nike, we have LeBron, we have American Girl. I can't even name can you brag on yourself for a second?
Janie and Jack.
Banana
Republic. We also have a really exciting luxury shoe collaboration coming out in the fall. What? So yeah, it's been good.
And not to mention all of the Black designers you have put on and brought into the conversation, into the room, at the table with all these brands, all these people. So when I look at that, I see a series of cliff jumps. So it doesn't surprise me that that's your like calling card. When you think back, I mean, what is one cliff jump that really like stands out to you? It might be a recent one, an early one.
Yeah,
what's the most recent cliff jump?
Oh, the most recent.
Yes.
You would ask me what's the most recent.
Girl, you know we live in the future. We haven't even gotten to our little monthly sessions where we meet up.
I know.
We talk. We're gonna get to that.
I think my most recent cliff jump was deciding that I would raise capital for HFR. And that's something I have not said in public. So
that is huge.
That
is huge.
That's a cliff jump. There's a new arm that we're building out right now. And another cliff jump was deciding not to wait until we got capital, but to just go ahead and pay for it, which was a stretch for us. But I'm like, if you're not taking risks that you believe in, what are you doing? I cannot be in a place where I have regrets about what I didn't do. I'm not interested in those regrets. And what I realized, we kind of started this out talking about mentorship. And what I realized is that every kind of uncomfortable situation I put myself in is going to end up being a lesson that I'm able to teach and walk someone else through. And so I have to do certain things, or I feel compelled to do certain things, because I'm like, I don't know anybody who's done this before, so I have to do it so that I can kind of like create the trail for it.
So I think we're going to circle back on a few things, but one thing I want to highlight, something that drew me to you. So you know how you're drawn to people, you see something in them that is familiar to you and something that you pride yourself on embodying. And I think with you, it is this interest in being the first. I hear in that, I'm excited to be the first to do this thing so I can do it. I don't mind cliff jumping. Like, I don't mind being the first. And that way I can then create the blueprint, go back and tell the others, like Harriet Tubman, I'm going to find the way, I'll be the first. I will overcome whatever obstacle because I believe that I can. I believe I have the resilience. I have the mission to get to the destination. And then once I get there, I'm going to go back and I'm going to free the others. And I'm going to have the blueprint to share with them. And I know that motivates me. And that's exciting to me. Like when people are like, why are you going into this new space? And I'm like, well, it's fun to be the first.
Right.
Like, it's dope. And then once I figured out, I could be like, hey, y'all, here's what I learned. Sorry, I'm forgetting the cameras. I'd be like, hello. And he's like, you're blurry in that camera. And I'm like, hello. You're far away in that camera. And I'm like, hello, this is my camera. But yes, so that I can go back.
It's true.
And that's what I'm hearing with you.
Yeah.
So tell me about, this is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
This shift from being bootstrapped. I resonate with this so much just because, and I'm curious if you have any of this as part of your story, But I know that for me, I come from I'm first generation. So my mom is from Panama, dad is from Jamaica, and we have a culture of doing it yourself.
Yep.
You know, work hard, figure it out, do all the things.
Yep.
I wasn't raised with a comfort of delegating, asking for help, you know, leveraging other people's money, et cetera, et cetera. So therefore I built this business myself with my own. I'm like, okay, the customer's gonna pay us. So I know personally how big of a transition this is to go from you've been running HFR for 15 years and you've grown it. Multiple millions. The impact has been vast. I think you have redefined and created a larger stage than ever for Black designers, where it's not a niche thing or a special thing. It's like, of course we are. We always have been. Right. You just helped create a physical space in Harlem and now virtual spaces everywhere. But I would say that you've done all that. Why now the transition to raising capital? Where did that come from?
So here's what's interesting. Last year, I took December off.
Ooh, wait, and it sounds like that's not typical for you.
No.
You be working.
Now it's going to be my regular thing that I do every year. But I took December off. I was so burnt out at the end of last year when the Black Lives Matter movement or racial reckoning happened. Like, everything ramped up for us, probably times 5 or times 10. And so I was working nonstop. You know, and so I needed to just take a break in December, right? But of course, my taking a break.
I know you were still doing that. You called me on one of your days. I remember you called me in the middle. You were like, I think it was like 11 a.m. And I was like, oh my God, Brandice is calling. And you called me. You were like, hey, so I'm over here whiteboarding and I have a plan for the next 10 years. And this is what I'm saying. I was like, okay, Brandice. So I know by you taking December off, you plugging in.
You know, what's funny is that day I was at Dumbo. That was the day I was at Dumbo House and called you randomly like, what are you doing? Can you just come meet me at Dumbo House? And you're like, yeah.
I was like, I can't. Oh my God, that was the day I was going to fly to Art Basel. Was I going to Art Basel?
Yes.
I had packed for it right before. I was like, Giselle, I told my sister, I was like, Giselle, we're going to Art Basel. She's like, what? I was like, help me pack. I have a flight in 3 hours. And then I packed. I met with you, and you inspired me to sit my ass down at home. You didn't mean to, but you did. Because I was so inspired by what you shared with me. And I said, it was a reminder that the authority is inside. I said, I have an inner authority and an inner knowing. I already have things I want to achieve. Why am I going to Miami, to Art Basel, to this event? And there are times for that, but that just wasn't my time for that. That was my time to go inward. And you actually reminded me that day. And I ended up canceling that flight. And I was like, sorry, Giselle, these clothes we packed, they're not going nowhere except for back in my closet.
And you know what? I felt bad because I was thinking, I was like,
you're like, dang.
I didn't want her to cancel her trip.
I'm doing it all the time, girl.
But it was good.
It was needed. I came home. I did a hookah session. I don't remember what I planned that day, but it was amazing. I planned something big that day. So tell me what you were going through in December.
So December, I had a friend, Nicole, who said to me, you should do a dream session.
What is a dream session?
So I went to my office. My sister, it was just me there alone. And I turned on, dream session is basically getting to a place where you literally block out all distractions and just dream. So it's, you know, on a whiteboard, just writing out what are all the things you want to do for me, it was for my business. Like, what are all the things? Like, what are all the dreams that I have for Harlem's Fashion Row? And so, you know, a lot of times we're living off of dreams from 10 years ago, right? Like, we don't often set aside time to dream in the moment or have current dreams or know what our future dreams are, right? Because we're still thinking about where we started and what our dreams were then. And so I had not taken a moment to just stop and dream in a long time. And I'm not talking about like an idea hits you and you write it down. This is like an intentional moment. And so I went to the office. I turned on Jim Rohn, who I love, and turned my phone completely off. And it was just me and the whiteboard. And I wrote down all of these things that I wanted to have happen. And believe it or not, like after 15 minutes, I was done writing. And so I had to say, bigger. Look at all of these dreams and now go bigger. And so then I start writing out, like, because we so often dream within the confines of what we believe is possible. And when you write down everything, every dream you have, and then you go, wait a minute, let me now go bigger. And so what I had to do was say, let me dream as if I was Alicia Keys. Let me dream as if I was Beyonce. Because those are two different types of dreams, right? Like, it takes me out of my confines, and now it puts me into their resources and their connections. And so just put me in a different mind space. And that session was so powerful for me that I actually did a course on it that's free that I'm giving to people, because that moment for me, when I wrote out everything, I said, oh, I need funding. Because I need to be able to do these dreams quickly. I don't want to. I know what it's like to bootstrap, because that's what I've done for the last 15 years, and we've been successful at it. But like, imagine what I would do if I could hire whoever I wanted. Imagine what could happen if I could actually build this with the proper, like, not only financial support, but strategic support behind me as well. And so I knew that I needed to be able to raise capital to do that. And I'm just going to say this last thing about the dream session. What's crazy is that I took whatever was on the board, I organized it, kind of like, okay, here is these things that I see for HFR. And Nicole also said to me, why don't you think about HFR in stages? What stages have you accomplished? And what stages are coming ahead? She's amazing. She actually is the CEO of a marketing company called Underdog. Amazing. And so I build this out, and I'm like, sheesh, this is our 10-year plan for HFR. This is the next 10 years for HFR. Like, literally. And it came out of that dream session. And so I shared that with my team at the top of the year, because I think it's important that the team knows, like, what my vision is, where we're headed. And when I tell you, almost half the things on that list, they are happening. Like, there's a brand that I said, I want to work with this brand. It's a space we've never been in before. They emailed me, hey, Brandice, we were just thinking about Harlem's Fashion Row. Like, it is insane.
And it's just been a few months.
We're just
a few
months. We're not even through the year.
Time travel.
It's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
So from that session, I was like, okay, I got to raise capital this year. We will raise capital this year.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a lot of people where this version of you comes out?
It's out all the time.
Okay.
And sometimes, right, that's also kind of, I think, how I chose my tribe, because
got it.
I think for some people,
if
they're
I
like,
share this and if it's intimidating and they don't come back, then
that's not my people.
Got it.
I'm not talking about business all the time. I'm just talking about life all the time.
My passion.
This is just who I am.
My mission. Absolutely.
I used to dim that though.
Oh, really?
I did. I would say, Brandice, don't. If you got an idea, keep it to yourself. Because I dimmed that for a while. I will never do that again.
I love that. And please don't. So, what I loved about what you shared. So first of all, you did this dream session, and you said you have like a free resource where people can do their own. Where can they find that?
They can go to my website, brandicedaniel.com.
Amazing.
And it's there.
Okay, because I want y'all to get all of this. Okay. I mean, you're not going to get everything that I get, you know what I'm saying, in person when we do our session. But you're going to get a piece. You're going to get a little. Okay. I'm just kidding. But yeah, please. And then I loved how you mentioned, so you took this month off, and you first dreamt as Brandice, and then you asked yourself what thinking bigger looked like. And I remember in one of our sessions, I shared with you that a friend of mine had shared this concept of the bigger big. And so it sounds like you went there.
Yes.
And so sometimes, or we think about thinking big, but there's a bigger big.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
how you channeled the bigger big was, you're like, you know what? Who is a person I can call on right now and embody? And for you, as Alicia Keys and Beyonce, what would their dreams look like?
Absolutely.
What I heard in that is you were tapping into the infinite possibilities. So when I think about like an Alicia Keys, Beyonce, a J-Lo, any of these people, because of their scale, in my mind, the possibilities are infinite and endless. They will really only be bound by their imagination.
Absolutely.
So to me, that's infinity.
Yes.
It's infinite. So in other words, you asked yourself, what would I do if I had access to the infinite source, infinite possibilities, infinite potential? And you channeled the two people who said that to you, which I love. That is such a good exercise in a dream session.
Because I was stuck, to be honest with you. I was like, okay, I wrote all these dreams down and I'm out of time. You know, I finished before the time that I had allotted for this. And
Right, you're like, this 20 minutes? You're
right?
like, wait,
And I'm just
we
like,
done already?
right, and it was like, this is
You're like, hold on.
strange,
Yes,
right?
yep,
So
I've
I
been
was
there.
like, I limited myself and I knew it. And the reason Alicia Keys came up because her and Swiss Beats were on the cover of Architectural Digest. And I was like looking through that and I was looking
like,
through their
hold on,
home
their art
and I
collection.
remember like even Swiss Beats was talking about that home that they bought and how he saw that home years ago, but it wasn't on the market, but he put that as a screensaver on his phone, the home, which somebody else was living in at the time. And I just remember, and so that's why, like, she was the one who came in my mind, like, first, her, and because, you know, sometimes, okay, we need to take ourselves out of our own environments at times. And I think when you and I met, I think I had said, you know, we should think about what is it going to take to build a $50 million business? And then what is it going to take to build a $500 million business?
That question.
Right? And not just answering the questions arbitrarily, but actually doing the math on it and saying, what does it look like for my company to make $50 million a year? What does it look like for it to make
what I
$500
love
million a year?
actually about that question is the way you communicated it was actually different from what you're saying now. What I remember and what really resonated, which took it to another level, was if I were to raise $50 million, how would I spend $50 million? Because if you spend $50 million with the goal to make it $100 million, 150, $500 million, what I remember us talking through, like, how do you spend $50 million? Or take $20 million? Because I'm like, so I've thought about making it, right? Like, I've made over 20 million, like, cool. But it's a different equation of how do you, if you are given this capital and your goal is to make this a $500 million company and you are given $50 million to spend to make it valued at $500 million, how do you spend $50 million when you grew up in a household where your parents made $70,000 max?
Right.
Now we have this possibility of being given, inviting $50 million in funding to spend so we can build a company that's valued at $500 million. And you know that that's commensurate with the value and intangible value that it's giving to the community, to the world, everything. So that is what caught my attention. And I remember you went into the specifics. You said, okay, Danielle, you got how many on your email list? You got 400,000, 500,000 on your email list. And then you're like, okay, so if I were to pay $2 a lead, because if I ran a campaign and I did a lead magnet, a giveaway, whatever it is, and I paid $2 a lead, and I wanted to build a list, that's $1 million right there. $2 a lead for 500,000 leads is a million people on my subscription list. That's still only 500,000 that I spent. I still got 450,000 to spend, and I got 1 million people on my email list. You know what I could do with 1 million users, 1 million people on my list, and we haven't even spent this much. So when you broke it down like that, I was like, Brandice, come on. Because I wasn't thinking that way. I mean, even now, like, that's still a new way to be thinking.
Absolutely.
If you are a creative entrepreneur and your business is unique, why are you working with a generic accountant? One of the best decisions I made was who I would partner with on my taxes and my accounting. So if you're a creative entrepreneur, you are growing your business, you're scaling your business, I want to introduce you to Revel. Revel is a firm that can help you whether you're looking to prepare your taxes or you're looking for that year-round support. They will tell you what's happening in your business and why. So if you're tired of being ignored, talked down to, or feeling like you are chasing around your accountant and needing to drive the relationship entrepreneurship yourself, it's time for a change. Head over to revelcpa.com, REVELCPA.com. Head on over, fill out their interest form, and make sure you look into working with them. Again, that is revelcpa.com, REVELCPA.com. We all deserve the right firm to partner with. It's been proven that procrastination can be one of our biggest enemies to success. Now, contrary to belief, procrastination is not based on a lack of time management or organizational skills. Procrastination is directly linked to our emotions. Now, the reason I know this is because of Patty Johnston. Patty Johnston is incredible. She's a Course from Scratch member, but even more importantly, she's built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses once she learned how to overcome procrastination. So she's created a program where she shares her system on how to overcome procrastination, and it's based on emotional intelligence, neuroscience, and accountability. She's gonna show you step-by-step how to overcome negative feelings so you can start taking action and start seeing a difference from day one. So text this number right now to schedule an appointment with Patty and her team to see if this is right for you and what steps for you to take to overcome your procrastination. 813-789-1097. And again, the number to text right now is 813-789-1097. Let's all overcome procrastination together. Now let's get back to the episode.
What that takes me to is what I've recently come to terms with is this identity of being like a CEO, Chief Executive Officer. And now for the longest time, I tried to like fit into this container that was CEO that I thought, right, that I was fed.
Right.
Which is, if we talk about masculine energy, feminine energy, it's the masculine energy is more structured, it's predictable.
Right.
It's if you do this, then this,
Right.
step 1, step 2, step 3 to get to step 6.
Right.
And what I realized is I was feeling a lot of resistance. And so I redefined my role into CIO. So Chief Inspiration Officer, Chief Investment Officer, and Chief Innovation Officer. And when you were speaking, I was hearing all of those things. In December, you created this dream session.
Yep.
You took that role of Chief Inspiration Officer first. You're like, how can I keep myself inspired?
Yes.
And then in January, you reported back to the team. You're like, I visited the future, I've seen what we're about to create, and you came back to the present to tell the team what we're about to create. Right. Chief Inspiration. Then it was Chief Investment Officer, where you're like, in order to do all these things, we gonna raise these funds because we have things to create. And we're not gonna do this over the next 100 years. We're gonna do it over the next 2 years.
Right.
And this is how much we need to do it.
Right.
That's investment. And then talking about, okay, to get 1 million on our email list, we need 500,000. Like you are thinking about how can we maximize the investment.
Absolutely.
It's not there's no feelings involved. It's math. Do this to get that. And that's only minuscule compared to 50 million or whatever, right? And then the last piece is Chief Innovation Officer. So I'm curious, when you did your dream session, were there any innovations? One thing I love about you is how you borrow from different industries, you borrow from different times. You really encapsulate like the Since 3000 mission, which is embodying your past, present, and future self now.
That makes me feel great.
Girl, are you kidding? Like, because I think that sometimes we can, especially now, and I've done this too, where we can, I think, value the future more when the past has just as many
sure does.
insights and lessons, if not
Absolutely.
more. Like they're all like, and then the present, like the portal to the present. Like I remember one morning I woke up and I had a visualization, and it was like a crevice and light was coming in, and I had the words wrinkle in time come into my mind. And the only interaction with wrinkle in time was maybe in like 6th grade or whatever it was, where that book was assigned to me, which I probably only read like 5 pages. I didn't remember. The movie I hadn't watched yet. And I was like, why is wrinkle in time coming in my mind if I don't even know what that means?
Right.
And then I looked it up and I was like, oh my goodness. It is essentially taking another dimension and meeting it with this dimension over here. It is collapsing time. A wrinkle in time is when you can skip through different dimensions. And then I watched the film to further understand. And what I realized is what I'm doing is spending a lot of time in the future and missing the portal to the present.
Right.
And that morning I literally looked outside and remembered one day you wished for this. I mean, you know what I asked you upstairs.
You did. We were upstairs in my bedroom / office, and Brandice over here. I was like,
because here's
I love you for this.
Because sometimes we can overlook literally the blessing we prayed for years. And for you, I'm looking outside your window. Outside her window, there's like the Hudson River. Not only is there the Hudson River, there's like trees and all this beautiful greenery. And then just beyond the trees and the water is the skyline of New York City. Like there is the Freedom Tower that she can look at from her bed. By the way, we had an event at the top of Freedom Tower in 2019. But like, you know, so
Brooklyn Bridge.
So she's got the Brooklyn Bridge. She's got this beautiful view, and you know, she just got me in her room casually. We're looking at in her closet, and she's just like moving on. And I'm like looking at her window, and I'm like, but Danielle, do you stop to just appreciate this moment? And she said, look, I say good night to New York every night.
Every night.
But like, you can't, this is a view that is so rare in New York. There are maybe, if there's 1,000 people in this city with millions in it that have this view, which I doubt if there's 1,000, but there might be 1,000 people in the entire New York City, where I think it's 12 million people, that has this view, and you have it.
I just want to kiss you right now.
I'm telling you, it's so. That's the moment, right?
So thank you. It's wild because I have spent most of my life waiting the future, the amount that you just waited the present. And I've learned that there's just as much value in the present and in the past. And one thing I love about you is, to me, the way you occur to me is you place just as much value on past, present, and future, which is absolutely what I aspire to embody. So when I think about innovation, it's interesting because innovation is a word that we often associate with the future. But even as we're talking, you're helping show me that innovation is just as much about the future as it is the present, really like steeping in what's right in front of you, what's having an impact now, what's resonating now, as it is with the past. What's in my DNA? What did they dream of that we did not have yet? Or what did they create that we have forgotten about that I can now bring to this world? So when you think of innovation, yourself as a chief innovation officer, in that dream session, I'm curious, what surprised you about an idea you had that maybe you borrowed from a random ass industry, a random film? If we have time, I'm gonna tell you how King Richard inspired me, and I got a new takeaway from it.
It was so good.
But okay, we're gonna get to that in a second. We're gonna get to it in a second. So in that December session, what surprised you?
Everything I wrote down. The crazy thing is that I thought I knew the dreams I had for myself. I thought I knew the dreams I had for HFR. It wasn't until I had this designated moment to dream. Not like dreams are coming to me while I'm doing a million other things, but like this designated moment to dream that I was like, what? I didn't even know that was in me. I didn't even know I had these ideas. I didn't know I wanted to do a global dinner series. I didn't know, you know.
Where am I going to be invited to? Which
Girl,
location?
let me tell you.
What location?
You have to come to Asia.
Which one? Okay.
You need to come to Asia.
Where?
Hong Kong is one of my favorite cities.
Oh my God, I haven't been to Hong Kong.
It's one of my favorite cities.
I've only been to Thailand in Asia. That's it.
Hong Kong is so dope. So like, I didn't know I had these aspirations. And so I think what came out of that was a fresh, this sounds crazy, a fresh batch of dreams, right? Because I had these stale dreams over here. I had not taken the time to see what was in me now. Because who I am now, there's different from who I was 5 years ago.
From yesterday?
Right,
yesterday.
Exactly. But you talk about the past, and I love that because when I started HFR, I used to walk down this street in Harlem. And so I used to walk down the street, and when I walked down the street, I saw these plaques that were on these brownstones. One said Black Fashion Museum. The other said Harlem Institute of Fashion.
What?
And I kept going, what are these plaques? What is this? And I think I was like 1 year into HFR as I'm like seeing these plaques. So I go and I do this research, find out that this woman, Lois Alexander Lane, was doing something that was like Harlem's Fashion Row in the 70s.
No way.
She had written a book called Blacks in the History of Fashion.
What?
I bought every book that exists. It don't exist, so don't even go look for it. I bought all the books. And then I start like researching her and realize that she actually passed the year I started HFR. Started HFR in 2007. She passed in 2007. You think that's a coincidence?
Absolutely.
That was not a coincidence. So I realized through her book that she had a daughter, because I think she may have dedicated something to her daughter. And I literally found her daughter in DC. I had to go through all these names because she has kind of a common name. And I found her and I sent her a letter. And I went down to DC years ago and met with her in the Smithsonian in front of this beautiful dress that Elizabeth Keckley had designed. Elizabeth Keckley was the designer, a Black woman who bought her freedom from slavery for her and her son through design, and she designed for Abraham Lincoln's wife. So we're sitting there at this museum in front of this Elizabeth Keckley dress, talking about her mom and what I wanted to accomplish. And what she said was, Brandice, my children think I'm crazy to be meeting you. Because I'd only been doing HFR for like 3 years. There was no big articles about HFR and Brandice Daniel. It was like, if she dug for something, maybe she could find something, but it wasn't easily accessible and we didn't have a reputation. So she did this literally based off of what I put in the letter. And she said, my children think I'm crazy for meeting you, but I had to meet you because there was something in that letter. I knew this was sincere. And when we met, she said, you remind me of my mom. Now I know why I had to meet you. And so often we think that we're doing this new thing when what we're doing is basically the continuation of someone who came before us.
Oh my gosh.
So you can't really innovate unless you look at the past.
I did not, because I literally, not until this conversation, I never thought of innovation as looking at all 3 states, past, present, and future, until this conversation.
You have to. Because reading her work, I realized, dang, she's been dealing with this since the 70s, what I'm dealing with right now, right? And the crazy thing is, this woman was so honest in this book. She talked about who supported her and who didn't. And I have to tell you, those are the same people who supported me and who didn't in fashion. Yeah.
Like,
and so I was like,
brands
no, people.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
She didn't do it. She did it in a way that felt the average person may not have gotten it.
Got it.
You know?
What you like.
But she put their names in there, and when she asked for support, this is what they provided, right? And so even that, I was like, oh, okay, so it's not just me. This is just who these people are.
Also, I love that she left a record.
She left a record.
And what it has me think too is creating hymnals, songs that a certain group understands. When they hear it, they can hear the words that are adding up to a message and to a direction, whereas anyone else doesn't hear it. They just hear a regular song. And it's like she put the hymnal in the book. So if you're in the position to benefit from it, to grow from it, she left the markers, she left the hints. She's like,
Yeah.
Wow. So the importance of documentation,
It's
documenting your
so
journey.
important. It is so important because it also makes what I'm doing feel so much bigger, because the foundation of what we're doing isn't based on the 15 years we've been doing it, right? it goes back decades. So I'm literally building on decades of work that have already been done. And so you look at it differently when you know that, you know, some people want to be like, oh, most time if you think you're the first, you're not the first.
Oh,
so, but you know, but you have to take the time to go back and say, well, whose foundation am I building on?
wow. Right, because we stand on the shoulders of giants.
Absolutely. You know, even in our families, I thought all the entrepreneurs in my family were men. And my grandmother, I think the last couple times I was in Memphis, was telling me about this aunt who had like these 3 businesses that I'd never heard of before. Wow. And I was like, oh, this is just in me. So, you know, even that, right? It makes you feel different when you know, oh, this is what I came from. It's not like I just woke up like this. No.
It's in your DNA.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is like so awesome. Do you remember when I told you that I was thinking of starting my podcast?
I do.
And you told me it was going to be the best thing for me ever. I know. Because you did Great Girlfriends, and you're like, I opened up so much more than I thought. And like, that's what this experience has been for me.
Yes.
I like, yesterday, we threw the script out the window. We were like, there's no, how do you do XYZ blueprint? No. It was just like, where are we at?
Exactly.
Where are we at? Where are we going? Where have we been? Yeah. So it's everything you said. It's everything you said.
And you're also naturally interested in people, you know? And so it turns into not this like Q&A interview, you know, but it's more like, no, let's get to the deep stuff.
Yeah. So this has been great. It's been everything you said.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because you're just getting to hear about people's stories. And I don't care who you are, you have an amazing story. Yes. It doesn't matter who you are. You have an amazing story.
What I want to ask you is, what is one truth that you may not have shared with anyone yet that has become apparent to you, that you might even be afraid to share, or maybe you're overly excited to share, but something you haven't shared yet?
You know, for so long, because I grew up the way that I did, it was, you know, be humble, don't put yourself out there too much, you know, and a lot of times what that does is it makes you want to hold back on who you really are, right? And since I was a little girl, I remember the chants I would say with friends during a cheerleading session or whatever. I always knew that I would be someone great and would achieve someone great, achieve things that were really great. But I would feel like it was more my responsibility to kind of play smaller. And over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there are 2 things that have happened to let me know that, no, this is who you are. And one of those things was I got Entrepreneur of the Year award for FIT, and Dapper Dan presented my award.
Not only getting it from FIT, but Dapper Dan presenting your award?
Dapper Dan presented the award, and he sent me this note. In his speech, he said, you know, you're our Harriet Tubman, which is when you said that earlier, I was like, I'm not going to say anything.
Come on,
right? And
come on.
He was like, you know, you're fashion's Martin Luther King. You're like all of these like things that, in all honesty, made me feel very uncomfortable while he was up there talking. But then he sent me flowers, and the flowers said the same thing, the note on the flowers. And I was like, that's a lot of pressure, right? Because it's easier to pretend like we're less than who we know God has really made us to be. Oh, right? It's so much easier. And then when great things happen to us, we're just like, oh, I can't believe this happened. When in truth, when you know that you've been made to be great and that's your real truth,
You are ordained.
it's not a cocky thing or prideful thing. It's just, this is who I am. And the truth is that I'm great. And not because of anything that I've done myself, but because this is who God has made me to be.
I'm feeling the same things. Yep. Yep. Come on, Brandice. Come on.
You know what's interesting? I know that it's also because I don't hold it to myself, Danielle. Like, I want others to be great. You know what I mean? Like, that is literally like, there's no mentee or intern who's ever worked for me that won't tell you I won't share anything I know. I will share it with them.
So
to be a vessel, that's what it's for.
And you as a vessel lends to the fact that what you just said I was already thinking about, which is my desire is for everyone in every room to know that what you're saying is the same for them too.
It's the same for every
just
last
a matter of
one
being
of us.
open to that belief.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
When you
And why don't we
believe-
believe that? Why is it easier for us to believe that we're less? And I think it's because then we can have low aspirations and low expectations and be okay with it, right? But when you know that you were made to be great as every human who was born in this world, then now you're uncomfortable. Because, dang, I'm doing this, but I'm great, so why am I doing this? Right? Because think about the times when you knew there was something, before you built a multi-million-dollar business, you knew you were great. But you probably had a moment where you were doing something that you knew, this is not where I belong.
I mean, yesterday. Just mentally. This is not where I belong. Why am I feeling anxious and weird and bad and
right?
yes,
And then you're
yes.
like, this is uncomfortable because this is not where I'm supposed to be.
I know better.
Right. I remember I was in Memphis working in the mall part-time at Brooks Brothers.
Yes.
I was working, filing papers for a temp company. And literally, I was so depressed. Every day I was coming home crying, walking through the Walmart, telling my friend, I deserve more than this. I am more than this. And it was literally the most uncomfortable space of my life because I knew what was in me, but what I was doing at the time was so unaligned with who I was. And so when we're feeling all of these things, a lot of times it's because you're supposed to be doing something great. And you're frustrated because you know you're supposed to be doing something great. And what do you have to do to get yourself comfortable with the idea of being where you are now?
This is so good. I thought about, to bring it back to the cliff jump.
And this was the truth session.
Oh, girl,
I'm like, I'm
No, this is
all
good.
the way off base.
No, not at all. Because what's coming up is I wanted to ask you a question, but I'm just going to answer it myself. And because what I love about what you've done, if you think about the name, Harlem Fashion Row, now, 15 years in, all the brands you've worked with, the household names you've worked with, the stages you've been on, the shows like the daytime shows that millions of households tune into every day that you've been on. Now, Harlem Fashion Row makes sense. What occurred to me is for the person watching, listening, and they are creating or pivoting, picking something new, renaming, what's coming up for me over and over is Brandice chose the name Harlem Fashion Row. Today, it sounds legendary because it has the receipts. Day one, I'm like, the audacity it took for you. You're not a New York native. You aren't from Harlem. The audacity it took for you to say, I am calling this Harlem Fashion Row. haven't been in the fashion industry for decades and decades and decades. I don't have all these fashion brands. I'm not a designer. I don't have a lot. I'm calling this Harlem Fashion Row. That's it. And then you built the receipts after that. The legendary everything, the acclaim, the partnerships, you created that. So you really spoke it into existence. So like that's what's coming up for me is you're like that whole like, because I'm asking, I'm like, shit, how do you lean into the bigness of you?
That's where the cliff jump comes in.
That's what I was going to say. You beat me.
Sorry, but you freaking cliff jump.
Yes.
And then you build it.
Exactly.
You build it while you're in the air.
When I think of cliff jumping, I was like, let's break down a cliff jump. Can we break it down?
Break it down.
What is a cliff jump? We on a cliff. We know when, in order to cliff jump, a few things need to happen. Number one, the main thing, belief.
Yes.
You need to believe when you jump off this cliff, there will be a safe landing.
Yes.
And also, you jump with the awareness that there may be a landing that is different than what you expect.
You don't know what to expect, actually.
But it's a belief that regardless of what happens, you're going to be good.
Yes.
And it's going to be, guess what? If you're jumping from a summit, there's levels to a summit. Cliff jumping is like this. So guess what? If you jump off then you're like, cool. Oh, okay, we didn't make it all. Okay. Let's just jump again. That's what I'm saying with Harlem Fashion Row. You're like, I'm going to name it Harlem Fashion Row. I don't necessarily have the receipts to say that I deserve or I'm going to name it that anyway because I'm jumping off the cliff. But guess what? There's power in a name. I believe even individually, right? My mom named me Danielle, who was named after Danielle Steele, which is hilarious. But, you know, she's like an acclaimed novelist, writer, and I'm a writer, storyteller. I believe in the power of story. That is across all of my work.
That makes so much sense.
Giselle, my sister, named after a ballet. My sister is a dancer. That is her form of expression. Like there's a power in names. And I think we don't realize not only as individuals is there a power in names, but also in our companies, our businesses. So when you named it Harlem Fashion Row, you were birthing a child and you're like, I'm giving it your name and I'm going to build you up to embody that name.
Wow.
That's what you've done.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. Nothing great happens without a cliff jump. And I was going to say, you talked about your expectations, knowing that you may not land the way you expected to land, but no one goes on a cliff and jump without anyone standing on the cliff, making sure they're good, right? And so I would even add to that, make sure you got great people around you. Like you don't just go, I would never go to Jamaica, jump off a cliff, and I'm the only one on the darn cliff.
That's true.
Because if
I've done that. Have you done that at the cafe? What's the name of the cafe? Have you done that?
I've not done it in Jamaica.
It's a 75-foot cliff jump.
I've jumped out of a plane.
Oh.
That was nice.
Oh, wow.
For my 35th birthday.
Yes.
My husband is crazy. I was like, I want to jump out of a plane. He's like, okay. Next day he had everything booked.
I love that.
He had everything booked. And
that's
then
you gotta be careful what you...
Right. And then had 4 crazy friends who were going with us. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but no, think about it. Like, nobody does anything great. If you listen to How I Built This or Masters of Scale, like, it doesn't happen without, and a cliff jump isn't a one-time event. It is a consistent way to live.
Ooh, it's a way of living for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we're going to cheers.
Cheers.
We're going to cheers to our future.
Yes.
What's one word that embodies your future?
Bright.
Ooh. I'm going to say,
yours?
I wanted to say Sprite because it rhymed with bright, but we'll go with Sprite. Not the brand, but the adjective. Right. Okay, the adjective. All right, cool. So I want you to transport me to the future. Ooh. And I want you to talk about Brandice in the third person.
Oh my God.
What is Brandice being, doing, having? What's happening?
Brandice is on a yacht in Asia with her high school daughter who is homeschooling from the yacht in Asia and her husband. I have, at that point, I'm not like the CEO of a company, but I'm writing. I'm a full-time writer, full-time speaker. I have multiple residences at that point. Maybe I'm planning a trip outer space. Oh. Because at that point it's become a normal thing, and we can go and do like an orbit around Earth, which I would love to do. Oh, I got a shortcut. It's my gray hair, and it's this super cute shortcut. Yeah. Not very dissimilar to what it was, shorter. It's a pixie. And I have a building at FIT, the Brandice Daniel building. And maybe a school in Memphis. But yeah, I'm literally living the life that I dreamt for myself. And it is, you know, my dream is for my daughter to spend her high school years like basically traveling with me all over the world and doing homeschooling, because she's super smart, so she can figure that out. But yeah, that's where I see myself. I don't know if I went far enough in the future, but
that's beautiful. I'm gonna visit you in your homes.
Yes.
And you know, meet up with you.
We should actually do the space travel together. You would be so much fun. You would be so much fun to orbit the Earth with. You would be so much fun.
No one has ever told me that before. That's
do
so
that
cool.
Together. We should plan it. I really think in another decade it's going to be like a thing. Like people are going now, right?
Okay, cool. So it's like a vacation.
Yeah.
Like
so let's plan that. 10 years from now. Danielle Leslie, Brandice Daniel, boards a spaceship, and we orbit the Earth together.
I love it. And we do a dream session when we do it. Duh. Hello?
Because where's the best place to dream, right?
We're going to be in a completely different time and dimension, space.
Yes.
Did you ever think you would be in space? Like when you were a little kid.
I know.
The fact that would be a possibility.
I know. I did not dream that. Wild. But it's a possibility. And I have to say, this is why documentation is so important, because when I watched that documentary, that's when that dream was birthed. Yeah, I was like, oh, I could do this. I would love to do this.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that vision.
Yes.
We're going to space.
We're going to space.
Wow. Oh my gosh, this was so amazing. How was this? How was it?
This was good.
Versus your expectations?
No, it was great. I didn't really have any expectations.
Okay.
I have few people in my life who can call me for anything and say, hey, can you come do this? And I'm going to say yes. And I won't ask any questions. And you are one of them. So I am so thankful to be here.
Oh my gosh. You're like the top. Are you kidding me? Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I know that after listening to everything you share, people are going to be like, where can I find everything she mentioned, keep up with what she's doing? You move at the speed of light. So where can people find you?
If they go to my Instagram at Brandice Daniel, they can also, if you want to get the dream session, the course for free, or the cliff jump course as well, you can go to brandicedaniel.com.
Amazing. Thank you.
You are so welcome. This was so much fun. So incredible.
I cannot wait to see what the future holds for both of us.
I know, it's bright.
Awesome. It's bright. Listen, sometimes life be lifing, and we do not know what's coming down that road next. Well, that's what happened to me in 2016 when I was unexpectedly laid off from my job. And I was 6 figures in student loan debt. I had no savings, and I didn't know what was going to happen next. Now, luckily, I had this little voice inside of me at that time that I couldn't ignore, and it was telling me to take the leap. It was saying, use this as your opportunity to build your business. Use this as your opportunity to create your dream life. And so I believe that life happens for us, not to us, and that nudge in my spirit, I should listen to it. Luckily, I did, Fast forward to today, I have a business that's made over $20 million, and I've helped over 10,000 people create their online businesses and their dream lives. So do you want to learn how to turn your story into an online product and launch in 30 days? Head on over to coursefromscratch.com/since3000. I want you to join us on this journey so you can listen to that little voice inside of you too. So go now, do yourself a favor, coursefromscratch.com/since3000.